Stock seesaw in range trading ahead of the F&O expiry today. Metals and energy are the big gainers, even as healthcare and consumer durables drag and mid-caps outperform.
There's more regulatory trouble for Sun Pharma, with US FDA issuing it a warning letter for its Dadra unit, which was expected to make the bulk drug for Revlimid generic.
SBI Chairman Dinesh Khara tells CNBC-TV18 that many new entrants have entered the unsecured credit segment without evaluating the risks. This even as there is ample demand in the corporate segment.
Vedanta's founder and non-executive chairman Anil Agarwal tells CNBC-TV18 in an exclusive interaction that he aims for Vedanta to clock $10 billion in EBITDA and has no plans to dilute his holding. He is also hopeful of the demerger being completed this fiscal.
And after a meeting with the economists yesterday, the finance minister is meeting the financial sector and market participants early in the day and will interact with the industry leaders around 4 p.m. today. Hello and welcome. You've tuned into Business Lunch. I'm Nisha. With me is Hormaz. Hormaz, it's a quiet day of trade today, but Nifty 50 has seen recovery in the last few hours of trade. Let's take stock of markets at lunch hour. Nifty 50 at 23,566 odd levels. It's a gain of 0.2% at the moment. 130 points gain on Sensex at the moment. But Bank Nifty is the one which is continuing with its outperformance, over 0.5% up in trade, and mid caps too are showing huge amount of outperformance, considering that it is minor gains when it comes to the key indices. So mid caps really adding to the buoyancy of the market, and that's also adding to the strength. Advance decline ratio heavily in favor of the advances. On my screen right now, Hormaz, some of the metal counters, the high beta stocks are the top gainers in terms of percentage for Nifty 50.
It's good to have a quiet day for a change, considering how the market has been over the last few days. But the metals are shining. Of course, the broader markets continue to do well. They are in a league of their own. And that is what is showing up in today's session as well. The midcap index is up 0.7%, as is the small cap index. As Nisha was highlighting, that the metals are doing very well in today's trading session, primarily led by Vedanta. Anil Agarwal spoke to CNBC-TV18 earlier this morning, and he mentioned that he has no plans of diluting his stake any further. He also shared some growth targets as well for the company. There you can see almost 6% higher now is Vedanta, 475 now on the stock. What is not doing well though today is auto, and that is a segment that is seeing some profit booking today. Mahindra & Mahindra is the top loser on the Nifty, almost 2.5% lower in today's session. Remember, Mahindra & Mahindra is the top performer on the Nifty in 2024, so seeing a bit of profit booking from elevated levels. What is also not doing well is Sun Pharma. We just mentioned this, some more regulatory trouble coming in for the stock, almost 2% lower there on the counter as well for Sun Pharma. But let's begin Business Lunch by focusing on the top newsmakers this afternoon. SBI Chairman Dinesh Khara expects 14 to 16% credit growth in FY25, with margins being steady at 3.43%. He adds that the excess provisions will help meet the ECL norms as and when they kick in.
We are hoping to see the credit growth in the range of about 14 to 16%. And we expect to see very broad-based growth in credit, right from SME, agriculture, retail, and also in the corporate. As far as we are concerned, our domestic NIM last year was 3.43. So I expect our domestic NIM should be around the same number. See, as far as ECL is concerned, first and foremost, I would say that over the period of time, the loan book of the banking system has improved significantly. So if the ECL comes, perhaps whatever competition was done maybe about a year back, banking system would be much better, and we are certainly much better as compared to where we were last year. So I think from that point of view, we don't expect any kind of an impact on us as far as the ECL is concerned. MFIs are concerned. Well, of course, I think the rural went through some challenges at some point of time, but now we are seeing positive trends. But yes, of course, we do hear from MFIs who are having a loan book that there were some challenges, but I think as far as we're concerned, we don't see any kind of a stress.
All right, so that was SBI. On to another exclusive, and this is another big corporate voice on CNBC-TV18. Anil Agarwal, who's the founder and non-executive chairman of Vedanta, says that he is optimistic that the demerger will get completed this financial year. And he also adds that he expects a valuation of $1.2 billion per million ton for his steel assets. Listen in.
We have got majority of lender approval. We are in the process. NCLT take time and go through a whole process, which process will take place, and then it will be merged.
Okay. So by the end of this fiscal year, we could have the units separated, 6 listed entities of the Vedanta Group?
I think so, because certain things are in my hand, certain things are not in my hand.
Okay.
It is in the hand of NCLT. NCLT normally takes 3-4 months time, but sometimes they can take 1 or 2 months more also. Steel, we are one of the best prime location of a steel asset, which is in Jharkhand, near Bokaro, is in the Bokaro. We have a proximity of all the raw material, iron ore and the coal. We are proximity of all the railways. We are proximity of all the gas. We have put this asset on the basis that if we get 1.2 billion per million ton, we have a 3.5 million ton of plant, which at the moment we are producing close to 2 million. 3.5 will be by end of this year. Total debt on the Vedanta Resources. Vedanta Limited is the subsidiary of Vedanta Resources. All put it together, the total debt in the company is $12.5 billion, which is not even 1.5 time or 1.2 time of the profit what we made. As far as the total debt on the top is concerned, we have the trophy asset on the top, which is, we own the largest copper deposit of the world called Kankola Copper Mine, which is on the top. And we are looking, people are looking forward from us. Would you like to dilute some equity into the KCM? We haven't thought anything so far.
Very clear words there from Anil Agarwal on the debt obligations as well, but stock doing very well for itself at the highest point of the day. Now let's shift focus to the agriculture space. The government has hiked the MSP for 14 Kharif crops. Manisha is joining in with more. Manisha, good afternoon.
Thank you for that. Well, yes, the hike in 14 MSP crops actually was supposed to come in the first week of June, but we do know that we were busy at that time with elections and counting, etc. So it's come in the third week of June, but on anticipated lines, as was the CACP recommendations as well. So we are looking at a range of anywhere between 1.5% to 12.5% of an MSP hike for these 14 Kharif crops there. With this, the farmers will get 2 lakh crores as the MSP right now, and the hike clearly has been quite strong in many of these. Well, these higher prices are expected to encourage farmers to sow more, and the monsoon slightly delayed but is expected to pick up in the month of July and August there. The rising cost of production, technology and climate resistant seeds is something that the farmers are looking at, and this MSP hike was quite important for that. Remember, the government has put restrictions on exports of rice, wheat and sugar, and if we do look at higher production and productivity, then the government perhaps would ease some of these. At this point in time, because to ensure that the prices do not run haywire, the government has allowed free import of various pulses and edible oils as well. Now look at the numbers herein that we are looking at right now, and the best of the gains clearly have come in case of paddy on expected lines at 5%. And then you have to take a look at these millets, which the government really seems to be pushing right now. These do not require too much of water as well. So we are looking at 6 to 12% of an increase between this as well. Maize is important because this is food and feed and fuel as well. And then comes pulses, where the inflation has been quite on the higher side. So we're looking at nearly 6 to 8% of a hike there as well. And then groundnut and edible oils have seen higher jumps too. Also, take a look at the cotton, where we also are looking at more than 7% of a hike coming in. Sesame and Niger seed are not produced so much in India, especially Niger seed, but we've seen 12.5% of a hike coming in for this one as well. I want to take you through paddy, and if you look at where we were in 2003 and 4, from 550 to doubling in that decade, and yet again doubling. And when you look at the last 1 year, we have seen a subsequent gain coming in here. I also want to take you through some of these pulses. Here as well, you can see that in last couple of decades, we've seen the MSP kind of double yet again, and 7,500 of an increase is where we are standing at this point in time. Take a look at Moong, and we've seen 1.4% of an increase in MSP here, but that is because we've seen very higher MSP hikes in the last few years coming in for this one. Take a look at cotton as well, and we have seen very strong hike come in for this one as well. That is something that the textile industry would want to watch out for as well. From 1725 in 2004 to almost 6620 in 2024 and 7500 right now. So it has been strong gains coming in for this one, and the markets do anticipate that you could be looking at a proper crop this time around as La Nina sets in, and we are looking at higher monsoons. Expectation of production is much higher.
All right. Thanks, Manisha, for getting us all those important details. With that, we'll slip into a short breather on Business Lunch, take a short break and get back, because we'll then focus and put the spotlight on the UGC NET exam and get you the latest developments on that development. Stay tuned.
Back with us here on Business Lunch. Now, amid the NEET fiasco, the Education Ministry has announced the cancellation of the UGC NET exam that was held 2 days ago. Shivani now joins us to get us up to speed with the latest. Shivani, looks like the exam row didn't end with the NEET exam.
Well, absolutely. The paper leak issue that started with the NEET exam has now reached the UGC NET exam now, and the centre has announced that the UGC NET examinations held just a few days ago have been cancelled due to potential security breach. Now, the Central Bureau of Investigation will be handling the investigation, and the UGC NET, or the National Eligibility Test, is a crucial national exam for aspiring assistant professors, junior research fellows and PhD candidates as well across Indian universities. The cancellation decision came after the National Cyber Crime Threat Analytics Units of the Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center alerted the authorities about a compromise in the exams. Now, remember that this affects 1.1 million candidates who had registered for this exam this time around. Now this development occurs amidst ongoing controversy surrounding the NEET UG 2024 medical exam, which has sparked a potential clash between the centre and the opposition. The NEET UG 2024 exam results announced on May 5th revealed an unprecedented 67 students securing the top rank in that exam. Now, on June 10th, the Education Ministry informed the Supreme Court that the grace marks awarded to over 1,500 candidates in the exam would be cancelled now, and these candidates would be allowed to retake the examination. Now, all of this has led to nationwide protests by candidates. Congress has also said that a nationwide protest will be held on Friday from their side. Now, meanwhile, the Education Ministry has assured a fresh UGC NET examination will be scheduled, for which a fresh date will be out very soon. Back to you.
All right, fresh date will be out very soon. Thanks so much, Shivani, for giving us all those latest details. Now, the record-breaking heat wave has crippled daily lives across North India. We have our colleague Abhimanyu, who gives us an update on what's really transpiring on the ground. Abhimanyu, what's the Met Department telling you about the future course of action and also the weather update?
Union Health Minister JP Nadda has reviewed the heatwave situation across the country and has asked officials to ensure that hospitals are prepared to deal with patients suffering from heat strokes. Advisories have also been issued to states. Till now, the heat waves are still continuing in several parts of the country where the monsoon is yet to reach. As far as the national capital is concerned, heat waves have started ebbing due to the advent of western disturbances. However, monsoon is expected by the first week of July in Delhi. Till now, several records have also been broken, not just with respect to the maximum temperature, but even with respect to minimum temperature, where the national capital had recorded a minimum temperature of over 34 degrees Celsius, which is the highest since 1969. There is a 20% deficit noted in monsoon till now. However, there is a possibility that the impact of La Nina conditions in the Pacific Ocean may positively impact monsoon.
Abhimanyu, thanks a lot for that update. Now, as temperatures continue to rise in the national capital, Delhi also struggles to cope with the lack of water. Residents were seen queuing near water tankers in areas like Okhla and Geeta Colony. Danish is now joining in to give us a rundown of the situation. Danish, what are you picking up?
Well, the water crisis in the national capital is deepening day by day, while initially the water crisis was affecting only the slum cluster areas in the national capital, but now it has started to affect densely populated areas like Sangam Vihar and Kusum Pahadi. These are certain areas which are completely densely populated. But yesterday, NDMC officials have also said that the water crisis problem is also looming large in central Delhi. And let me tell you, central Delhi is an area which houses all the ministries and all the lawmakers, and by that I mean all the members of parliament. They also reside in central Delhi. So this crisis is also slowly reaching to central Delhi, and NDFC officials have also said that there's certain hospitals in the national capital which are also seeing water shortage. But let me tell you, Delhi's water requirement every day is over 1,000 MGD. By that I mean over 1,000 billion gallons per day, and out of this 1,000 MGD, around 629 MGD is supplied from Haryana, and Delhi government has alleged that Haryana is not sharing Delhi's fair share of water. Atishi, who is the Delhi's water minister, she has alleged that Haryana is releasing 100 MGD less water, which is affecting the citizens of Delhi, and she has written to PM Modi on Wednesday, and she has sought his intervention in this matter, and she has said that 100 MGD less water will impact at least 28 lakh people in the entire city. So hence she is seeking intervention from Prime Minister Narendra Modi on this fact. So all in all, if we see, the water crisis is still looming large, and the political blame game is happening right now, and there seems to be no solution when this problem will end.
All right, Danish, thanks so much for all those details. Politics over water, and especially during heat waves. So it's a double whammy there. And while North India really eagerly awaits the monsoons, well, floods continue to ravage the state of Assam. The situation, in fact, has worsened as almost 3 lakh people have been displaced across 17 districts in the state. Now, authorities have also opened relief camps and distribution centers in several districts in order to provide essentials to those displaced. The Met Department has also retained its severe flood alert issued to the state.
Now, fresh updates from the liquor tragedy that follows from Tamil Nadu. Now, over 30 people have died and close to 100 were hospitalized on Wednesday late night after allegedly drinking illicit liquor in Tamil Nadu's Kallakurichi district. The authorities have confirmed that 4 people have been arrested. According to Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, the deaths were caused by the consumption of methanol-mixed arak. Now, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has also announced an ex gratia of 10 lakh rupees to the families of the deceased and provided assistance of 50,000 rupees to those undergoing treatment.
All right, so those were the top national news for the day. With that, we'll slip into a short breather, come back with more news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned to Business Lunch. Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch, and markets have picked up in momentum. There has been across the board gains across all the key indices in the last few minutes of trade. Keep an eye out on that. Moving on then, as we count down to the budget later next month. Well, the Finance Ministry has started consultation meetings, and today the financial sector and capital market representatives met with the officials at the North Block with their budget wish list. Let's listen into what the suggestions were made at the meeting held a while back. Listen.
I think the discussions were quite good. There was a very good reception from the Finance Minister and the Minister of State also. So all the secretaries are also there. So there were some suggestions which many of us gave, mutual fund, maybe I was president of the Association of Gold Loan Companies. We also gave good suggestions. I'm sure they said we'll definitely look at it.
Ask.
No, there is nothing that top ask. We have given it to them.
What are the broad suggestions?
Broad suggestions for improving the capital market, improving the funding to the retail sector. We do the last mile funding. Association of Gold Loan Companies, we do the last mile funding. They are very happy with that. So I'm sure they will support us in that.
Yeah, so primarily it was the participants from the capital markets and NBFCs, and so there were no banks today except for Mr. Atul Goyal, who was there from the Punjab National Bank. So from our perspective, we've made 3-4 quick points. One, we said that now that the sector has grown to be 12.5% credit to GDP ratios, there stands NBFC credit. And so there is a case to look at the funding because RBI is saying there is concern over dependence on banks. So that is where we raised that we need to have a direct handle for the government. So maybe a allocation of funds done to SIDBI or NABARD to do refinancing to NBFCs. And second point, we said since now the regulatory framework for NBFCs has been harmonized with that for banks, that remains incomplete if you are not given recovery tools like SURFACE. So that point, Madam did react also that we need to look at how these anomalies can be removed. AMCs basically they are talking more about how to encourage more a lot of discussion on the gift city part also. But how do we ensure that the whatever capital should not be going out of India? How can we retain more that in India? And there were also suggestions made on some of the arbitrage funds.
I think our main request is to keep on that path. Fiscal discipline is absolutely critical, and so is the effective inflation targeting. I think the main thing is these policies need to be stable and they need to be long-term oriented. What you cannot have is too many changes happening every year, every second year. So the suggestion from the industry was try to keep consistency in the tax policy. And yes, there might be some areas where there is some arbitrage and which the ministry should take into account as they think about the long-term policy.
Okay, so would those be capital gains tax, STT? There's also talk about transaction tax on FNOs. Anything on that?
All of those were discussed as the areas that need to be looked into. But the broader point is the stability of policy on these matters is very important.
Now, NVIDIA has ascended to the position of the world's most valuable company, unseating long-term tech titan Microsoft. The chipmaker stock surged by over 3% on Tuesday, elevating its market cap to an unprecedented $3.34 trillion. CNBC-TV18 Shireen Bhan caught up with Shankar Trivedi, the Senior Vice President of Enterprise Business at NVIDIA, on their journey towards this triumph. Listen in.
The shock and awe story of NVIDIA, Shankar. I mean, today the most valuable company in the world. For most of us, the big breakthrough moment as far as generative AI was the ChatGPT moment. But for you and for the folks at NVIDIA, I mean, when did you start to think that this was on the verge of an explosion?
The valuation is just the score, is the way we call it. So we are all about playing the game. And our game is accelerated computing and building a platform. So for us, generative AI is the killer application among other applications for accelerated computing. And so, we've been doing deep learning since 2012. Jensen, presented to OpenAI the first DGX in 2016. So that's a very, very long and deep involvement with all of the ecosystem associated with generative AI.
So in no overnight success, which is what people sort of suddenly, where did NVIDIA come from? To the layperson, I mean, it's just a phenomenal story that's taken shape in the public perception over the last few years. But there's a lot of work that's gone in over the past 2 decades in building it out to be what it is today.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working on this for many years. We always work with all of the developers and all the research laboratories and universities, all of the startups, small startups as well as mid-size and large startups, and all of the, global research centers, global capability centers, and major ISVs. It takes a long time to build a market.
All right, and you can catch the full conversation with NVIDIA and Unifor only on CNBC TV18 at 7:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. today. Don't miss it. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business Lunch. Midcap Radar comes up next. Don't go anywhere.